I'm Daniel Minty, a cognitive behavioral therapist, teacher, and writer. When someone verbally attacks us, we can disarm the attack by finding and agreeing with the truth in their criticism. A new patient once told me she really didn't like the sound of my voice. I disarmed this statement by telling her, me neither. Hearing my voice on a recording is enough to curdle my blood. What else don't you like about me? As soon as we join an attack on ourselves, the attack ends. We and our attacker are both standing on the same side now. There's nobody left to attack. A subscriber to our weekly online seminar, All Things CBT, recently posted a question I hear regularly. How can we disarm an attack in which there is simply no truth? In this audio clip, my colleague Lee Harrington and I respond to this important question, beginning with a description of how verbal disarming parallels physical disarming in many Eastern martial arts practices. Lee and I invite you to sit in on our conversation. Welcome to those of you with us here this afternoon and those of you joining us via our recording. We have one question posted this week. In the April 1st session, you spoke of being agreeable to using another person's language, even if it's not consistent with your own experience of a communication. You said that those distinctions are semantic. I would like to understand more about this, especially in the context of disarming. If someone tells you that you're blaming them, for instance, or attacking them, and you're feeling confused and defensive. This is a common question in our training, and sometimes I'll answer it by starting with a martial arts analogy. I teach Chinese martial arts, and sometimes I'll say to a new student, I'd like you to stand very solidly and don't let me move your feet. And the person will say, okay, got it. And then I'll start to push on one of their shoulders and they'll push back and their feet don't move. And then instead of pushing, I'll just give their arm a little tug and they fall forward. And then I say to them, okay, now I want you to try and move my feet. And we'll start the same way. I'll stand, they'll start pushing on my shoulder. I'll just let my shoulder go. And again, they fall towards me. My feet don't move. So when we attack someone, physically or verbally, we're in an unstable position. And when we can stay in a stable position as we receive an attack, this is how I would understand disarming, whether it be physical or a verbal attack, to stay in a stable place. When I was first learning martial arts from my dad, he was a boxer, and he'd say, keep your gloves up in front of your head so that if the punch comes, it hits your glove, it doesn't hit your head. That sounded like a good idea. And then I moved on and I started studying karate. And here they said, if a punch is coming at you, just move it to one side. And I thought, oh, I like that better because now my hand doesn't get hit. I can just move that energy away from me. And then I started doing Chinese martial arts, and Chinese people are very practical people. And they suggested if energy comes your way, use it. Don't waste it. Engage that energy and do what you want to do with it. So let's look at how this could happen in an exchange where, say, I walk into a room and express some negative emotion to a person in the room. Say that I'm unhappy or I'm unhappy with them. And so in my experience, I would describe that as an I feel statement. The person may say to me, "Why are you attacking me?" Notice that if I dispute their position, I prove them right. If I say, "I'm not attacking you, I'm making an I feel statement," I just attack their position. and now I'm co-creating that reality of being an attacking person. So I would like to avoid doing that. And if a person says to me, "Why are you attacking me?" I'm going to understand that in their body mind, that's a good description of their experience. They are being attacked. And if I backed up a couple of clicks and thought about that for a minute, I might understand that that person's sense of self depends on others around them only experiencing positive emotion. If people around me are happy, I'm okay. But they may be making a cognitive error that if someone expresses negative emotion, it's my fault. And then they would be tempted into feeling shame, anxiety, self-loathing or something. And so they would defend themselves against an expression of negative emotion to avoid being injured. We could say receiving a narcissistic injury. So what they are saying from their experience is very likely a good description of their experience. So let's return to the question. Question was, we have two different descriptions or experiences of the same reality, an expression of negative emotion. I'm saying I'm feeling unhappy right now. Maybe my tone of voice is saying that too. I'm displeased or hurt or mad about something. And the person says to me, "Why are you attacking me?" I would want to join their attack on me. You see, they've just come out of their stability and they're now in a somewhat vulnerable position. They're off balance because they're on the attack. I'd like to stay in my stable position and receive that energy. And I might do that by saying, "I'm telling you that I'm unhappy and you're asking me why I'm attacking you." And then I would roll right into, "It sounds like you're feeling hurt, angry, maybe a bit defensive right now. And I'm feeling a little worried about our connection with each other, a little sad that this is what's going on between the two of us. And I'm also appreciating that you're letting me know you don't like what I'm doing and standing up for yourself. I think that's great. I'd like to hear more of what you're feeling towards me right now." So the inquiry piece here is hyper-focused on what is currently missing from our conversation. The person has some feelings towards me. I don't yet know what they are. I'm guessing what they are. But if instead of acting those feelings out by attacking me with an accusation or criticism, the person can say, I'm feeling frightened. And if my conceptualization were accurate, that might be the feeling. Oh my God, Daniel's mad. Something bad will happen. And then that fear would lead one to circle the wagons and counterattack the perceived attack. So if we can get into that level of experience and talk about that level, that's all that we really need to do. And perhaps you can see how an argument about language will not help us get there. That argument will, in fact, get in the way of our getting there. Now we have another problem. And that's why I would avoid disputing one's choice of language. I'm going to stop there and see what questions or comments are coming up. There's much more that we could say about this, but that would be what would be off the top for me.
Daniel, I thought that was so terrific. Amazing. I was just kind of captivated as you were talking about this, and I wanted to see if I could kind of notice some of the pieces. What I'm hearing is that when you say, if we're discuss our language, we'll kind of miss the point. That won't help us, right? Probably harm us. And I like how you're directing us to look at the message that the person is sending as opposed to the words they're using to send it. It makes me think about when we're disarming, we want to disarm the underlying message. Sometimes it's disarming the words, but sometimes it's not. And so just really appreciating how you're directing us to look deeper at what's happening underneath when someone's telling us certain words. It's really, really fabulous.
Thanks, Leigh. That resonates with me as well, that the description or criticism is a delivery mechanism for some emotion. And the action is where the emotion is. That's what will reconnect us, sometimes very quickly, if instead of behaving or enacting the emotion, we can name it. So emotion itself is always valid. Sometimes in talking about disarming, people will say something like, well, that's not a valid criticism. That's not right. I think that's a red herring, because the underlying emotion is just an aspect of who this person is. It's like their eye color or their height. They're feeling hurt, they're feeling threatened, they're feeling defensive. That is as real and as valid as any other aspect of who they are. So I would like to get to that reality and process that with that person and bring in my own emotional reality along the way. When I'm doing that with someone, I also like to tell them about my experience of closeness with them. So if I walked into the room and I said, oh my God, I'm really pissed off. And the person said, why are you attacking me? Their response to me opens up distance between us. I feel like they just pushed me away. Instead of inviting me in, saying, really, you're really pissed off. What's going on? Which would build closeness, intimacy, relationship. They're pushing me away in my pissed off state. I'm not going to say that up front. That won't help us up front. But if I can disarm, invite them to describe their emotion, and let's say, as often happens, they'll say, yeah, I felt really panicky when I heard you say that. I will say to them, I just noticed I felt a lot more closeness with you when you shared that with me. When you asked me why I was attacking you, I felt more distance from you. And now I'm feeling more closeness and connection. And I like that because I like you. So being close and connected to you is pleasurable for me. It's a rewarding experience. So you see how I'm reinforcing their new behavior? By praising the direct expression of emotion, I'm raising the probability that they will re-emit that behavior and not emit the old behavior of enacting their emotion. So it's, for me, a kind of template here. Disarm, inquire, and then self-disclosed experiences of closeness. I was doing this in a role play with a patient yesterday, and the closeness moved in and out because the patient was playing a loved one and initially responded to the inquiry by saying something like that. Yeah, I'm feeling hurt or anxious or something. And I said, yeah, I just noticed I felt more closeness with you. Then the patient channeling the loved one said, are you saying I should make I feel statements, not criticize you? And so I said, I just noticed I felt more distance from you when you said that. So it can become a metric. When the person enacts, I let them know I'm feeling further away. When they emote, use words to describe their emotion, I say I'm moving closer. And their response to that metric is also diagnostic. That will tell me they want more closeness or they want to keep a certain distance. And if we start getting too close, they want to back things off. And they know how to do that. Instead of expressing emotion directly, they can act it out. And then I'll feel further away. They'll probably feel further away from me too, which might feel safer for them. If we're getting too intimate and it's frightening, they may want to open up some space. And then if that becomes a pattern, we could change the focus. And if they were willing to do that, talk with them about that. Gee, it seems like we're in this kind of preserving connection and disconnection. It's like we've agreed we want a certain amount of connection, but not too much. And if one of us gets too close, the other will move away. That would be an interesting conversation to have. It would move in the direction of an interpersonal downward arrow. What are the roles that we're in? And how do those roles mesh with each other, reinforce, play off of each other? I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Leigh. If you did, consider subscribing to this channel and check out our weekly online training and consultation seminar, All Things CBT.